Have you ever come to a crossroads in your life and you had to choose a direction? How do you choose? I mean, there's no way to really know the right direction except for years later. And by then, it's too late. The opportunity is gone and you live with the consequences. But what if there was a reliable way to know which direction is better for you long term? A way to know which direction will help you exceed your own expectations of what you're capable of doing. I think I've stumbled on a way by complete accident. When I was a freshman in grad school, I was a research assistant. I had this tiny office way in the back of the building with 4 other grad students. And we had these tall filing cabinets that separated our desks. And it was in this cozy little nest with a little heater by my feet that I collected data, put it on my spreadsheet, and wrote up papers. One day, my professor comes to me and he says, "Arfan, would you be interested in being a teaching assistant?" I said, "I've never done that before. I can grade some papers and assist. Sure, why not?" Actually, for this class, there might be some teaching involved. I've never taught. I'm not super comfortable in front of large groups. What is it, 15, 20 kids? Actually, it's intro to psychology, 523. So my mind starts racing to, dude, you have never taught. You've never spoken in public. You're awkward, you're gangly. These kids are gonna delight in tearing you apart and making you look like an idiot. And in fact, you'll be an idiot for doing this. As my mind was creating all these reasons to say no, I noticed how good I was at talking myself out of it. And as I turned to politely decline with the words, "No, thank you," I heard myself saying the words, "I'll do it." After saying those 3 words, I felt this pit in my stomach that grew for weeks. And I fantasized of ways of getting out of this horrible mistake, but I realized there's no going back. That first class I walked in, looked up, and saw 1,000 eyes. And you know what? It was a disaster. I am talking so fast I can't keep up. The kids are trying to take notes, and they just start. I look at my professor at the very end, and he has this look of utter regret. And he says, "Arfan, next time, slow down and enunciate." But you know what surprised me? As I was walking out of the doors of that class, I was exhilarated. I was flying. Not from performance, that was horrible. But for this one time, I didn't talk myself out of it. I made a choice that didn't give me a choice, but to grow. And that one choice sent me on a completely different path out of my cozy little nest. One of the most fulfilling parts of my job is I get to help leaders grow. And they ask me, what books should I be reading? What classes should I be taking? What tools or assessments should I be considering for me or my team? And trust me, I love staying on the cutting edge. But I've begun to wonder, is that how substantial growth really happens? Think about it for you when you grew the most, personally or professionally. Was it a book? A blog post? A class? In fact, did it have anything to do with ingesting more information? Or was it an experience? And not just any experience, but one that was completely over your head, You literally had to convince yourself to do it and had this potential for utter and miserable failure. After grad school, I was interviewing for a job in Foster City, California, and 30 minutes in, I'm getting all the right vibes. You know, the nodding, the smiling. I'm thinking, this is in the bag. He says, Arfan, I see in your resume that you know Arabic. I said, no is a strong word. It actually says I took it in college. It's like taking Spanish in high school. You don't really know it, do you? And my mind starts racing to, dude, you're gonna go halfway across the world? What is that, 7,800 miles away? You may not look like it, but you grew up in Miami, okay? And your parents are here, you're not really fluent. What if you lose your passport, huh? Will they believe you're American? You can get stuck there, it could happen. And as my mind was creating all these reasons again, I noticed I'm really good at talking myself out of it. And as I noticed that, I said, I'll go. So I moved to Kuwait. And you don't realize how comforting your culture is until all your reference points gone. You don't realize how comforting your language is until you don't understand a word being said around you. And you don't realize what loneliness could be until you wonder, something happens to me, how long will it take anybody to find out? And yet through all of that, I was so grateful because I made a choice that didn't give me a choice, but to grow. To be immersed in a new culture, to learn a new language, and to make some of the best friends I have ever made. A few months into the Kuwait consulting project, I have my first feedback session. And if you have not had the good fortune of being part of one of those, it's when your colleagues get to tell you what they really think about you. Now, in some organizations, this is done one-on-one. In this firm, we did it as a group. Doesn't it sound wonderful? And I was listening to my colleagues, and a consensus emerges. And it goes along the lines of, Arfan, we love working with you, but you're kind of quiet in the big meetings. Wish you would speak up more. I was speechless. It didn't help. Next team meeting, I'm psyching myself up. Say something smart, say something smart, say something smart. And as soon as something bubbles up, guess who shows up? Dude, you're 20-something. What profound insight could you possibly add here? Keep quiet so that it finds you out for the fraud that you are, and fix that mistake by firing you. Meanwhile, discussion goes on, and I miss my chance. Meeting after meeting, I get more self-conscious and more stuck until I get so desperate that I say, the next time I hear this hate dude thing in my mind, I'm going to say what's on it even if they hate it, or if they hate me for it. So I did. They didn't fire me. And every time I gave my intuition a voice, my confidence grew. So now do you know how to make the right choice? After looking back at all these inflection points in my career and how good I was at talking myself out of it, it occurred to me that an intense series of excuses can be an alarm system to run. Run to safety. Run to the known. But the great news is that alarm system can be rewired and can be used to find treasure. Now, whenever I'm faced with choices that generate all these intense excuses, I stop. I notice what's taking place, and I ask myself the question, which of these options will force me to grow? A couple of months ago, I was telling a friend that I've been chosen to do a TEDx talk. He says, great, good for you. Why the station in your voice? I said, you understand, dude, I don't know what I would talk about. I'm swamped to work. There's no way I could prepare. I stopped. I noticed, and I asked the question. And after 523 students, 10 foreign countries, and a TEDx talk, I know that excuses are a sign. And in the other direction, there's a choice that will give you no choice but to grow. Thank you.